this whole thing that you need to eat complete protein, eat protein in every meal to build the muscle, I think a lot of it has to do with the whole exercise industry and the gym culture, which started promoting non-vegetarian foods.
What are your thoughts on paneer?
They wanted to literally kill me because I spoke against their beloved paneer. But then someone has to break the myth and speak the truth. When you eat a food, think about it. Is it made in a plant or is it grown on a plant? And you'll get your answer. I think dairy today is such a highly adulterated industry that it's causing problem in everyone, be it a kid, be it an adult, be it a grandparent. It's really affecting the gut of the nation. People have an imagination that when you eat animal foods, the whole thing gets converted to your muscle. Why are so many young people dying because of heart attacks and cardiac arrest these days is because of
Hi Neha, welcome to Sustainable Tea with Shreya. Neha, I know you're a integrative health coach, a nutritionist, a functional medicine practitioner, also an author, a TEDx speaker, an entrepreneur, and you're someone who actively promotes plant-based lifestyle and holistic well-being. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Shreya. It's such a pleasure to be sitting with a fellow vegan and doing this because it's, there are emotional cords which are attached to this whole topic of veganism. So I think I'm just so happy and excited right now to be here.
Thank you. Let's dive right into it. Neha, I want to start with unpacking. You know how people say you are what you eat. What does that mean for you?
Actually, you are what you eat is a very incomplete statement. It means nothing because you're not what you eat. You're actually what you digest, assimilate, utilize, and what actually gets into your cells. And just by putting something in your mouth doesn't mean it's getting into your cells.
What does that mean?
Because there's a whole process of digestion that happens when you eat that food, and it starts from chewing and it gets into your, the breakdown in the stomach and the absorption in the small intestine, and then, the whole process. And if any of this process is tampered, either, you're not chewing well, or you have low stomach acid, or you have SIBO in your small intestine, the absorption is going to be affected. So what's going to get into your cell is not net what you're eating. You see, so it's really what your what your digestive health is and how good your cellular health is to uptake that nourishment from the food that's coming in. Also, I think you're not just what you eat, you're also what you think, because I believe your body follows your mind. It's always mind over matter. So
food for thought, food for mind.
Absolutely. It's what you're thinking. It's what your emotional state is. What's the quality of your thoughts? And I think that makes a huge difference.
What impacts the quality of your thoughts? And do you think diet, what you consume, does that have a direct correlation to what you think, how you think?
Yes, of course. What you eat definitely has an impact on the way you think, because we have these trillions of microbes in our gut, and they don't just sit there, do nothing. In fact, they are literally producing a lot of byproducts and substances that support our existence. And so we have the good guys and the bad guys in there. So if you're eating the right food, you're feeding the right guys and the good guys, and they produce amazing substances called short chain fatty acids that actually regulate your metabolism, your weight, your hormones, your mental health too.
Who are these good guys and bad guys? If we have to categorize them and name them, who are the good guys and who are the
These are
bad
the
ones?
microbes in your gut, and you have a list of these. So of course, you have the lactobacillus and the bifidobacterium. I don't want to get into the names because it could be very difficult for people to understand. What we call them probiotic, the supplements that you consume, probiotics, is putting in the live bacteria into your body, is putting in the live microbes into your body.
What do these do? What do these probiotics do in terms of gut health or digestive health?
So they maintain our gut terrain. They kind of make sure that the bad guys and too many unwanted opportunistic microbes are not growing in there, and they kind of maintain a balance in the gut so that we can absorb our food better. And they can do their job of producing the byproducts, keeping the gut lining healthy, and then these byproducts then help us think better, help us be happy, active, lose weight, keep our hormones in check, and they also help in serotonin production, which is the happy hormone, the happy and the feel-good hormone, which is so important for us to kind of just get through life with ease and positivity. So this is what all these microbes do.
Incredible. When you said you are what you assimilate, what you digest as well, what is the difference between digesting plant protein and digesting animal protein? Is there any difference internally?
Yes, so of course, plant protein is more is more subtle and is more um, easier on your gut, whereas animal protein requires a lot of stomach acid, because protein digestion primarily requires good amount of stomach acid. And today most people are very low on their stomach acid for a lot of reasons. Say you're not sleeping well, or you're just gulping your food down, not chewing it very well, you're stressing out. Of course, I think stress is the most important factor in everyone's life today, because you could be eating the best diet, you could be exercising, you could be doing everything right, but if you're not balancing your thoughts and emotions, not processing your emotions, not keeping a check on the way you're thinking and the way you're responding to life, and you're stressing out about almost everything around you, you are going to have low stomach acid, because that's a very normal mechanism of the body, that under state of stress the body shuts down the digestion, because other activities in the body become priority to sustain and survive, and to just keep the body going on
Is that when you
with
resort
life.
to junk food as well? When you resort to comfort food?
Yeah.
When you're stressed and you're kind of just seeking comfort in maybe
Yeah.
food that's not nutritious at all.
Yeah, of course, that's one byproduct of stress, because you start craving all the junk and all the high fat, high sugar food, because you want energy and you want to soothe your emotions, you want to feel better. So you do that with the help of your taste buds. But primarily, these factors affect your stomach acid. So when the stomach acid is poor, so we have stomach acid in our stomach, which is at the pH of 1.5. It's that acidic that when you put your finger in, it will burn it into ashes.
Really?
Yes, that's the kind of stomach acid we have in our stomach, but our stomach is protected with this mucus lining that we have around it.
Which is when you eat acidic food, you're kind of aggravating. Are you
Uh,
aggravating the acid or?
when you eat acidic food, it gets digested and then turns into acid. So there's a process, because that's the post digestive effect of the food. But when you're eating foods which are high on fat, and sugar and all the chemicals and additives that we put in our, that you see in all
Packaged
the
food.
packaged and processed foods which are on the shelf, these foods start weakening your stomach acid production in your stomach. And when that's weak, and now see, you don't have enough acid to break down something, so then when your animal protein is going in, that stays undigested.
Animal protein stays undigested.
Yes, because it's very high amount of protein in animal food. It's majorly protein. You hardly have any carbs. It's majorly protein and fat.
But do animals produce protein at all? Because most of the animals that humans consume, they get their protein directly from plants.
No, animals don't produce protein. We are eating their muscle, right, which is protein. Just like our muscle is protein, we are eating their flesh, which is protein. So for us, that becomes protein. But for the animals, which are herbivores, the protein is the plant. Like a horse eats horse gram and chana, and an elephant eats plants, being such a huge animal. So they get their protein from the plants. But if we are consuming animal foods, we are getting majority of that part of that food or flesh is protein and fat. So when that goes in and your stomach acid is weak, imagine that food doesn't get well digested, goes down and gets putrefied and gets decomposed and starts creating a lot of drama within your gut, and starts damaging your gut lining and starts affecting your gut health, and then it starts affecting your mental health, because your gut and brain are connected. Gut is the second brain of the
Gut
body.
is the second brain?
Yes, it's called the second brain of the body.
Just understanding digestion, understanding this from a nutrition point of view, why do you think we've been conditioned to eat animal protein, or why is that promoted to such a heavy extent that we almost believe that it's much better than plant protein?
I think a lot of it has to do with the body image and the whole exercise industry and the gym culture, which started promoting non-vegetarian foods as the best source of building muscle.
Is that true?
See, I'll tell you what. Of course, your animal foods contain complete protein, which is all your essential amino acids that the body cannot make.
Right.
Right? So when that goes in, of course, you get all your essential amino acids. But like I said in my first statement, is it necessary what goes in is what gets into your cells? Of course not. What goes in has to go through a process. And again, like I mentioned, if you have low stomach acid, that protein is not going to get broken down and you're not going to absorb the amino acids well. So I think this whole thing that you need to eat complete protein, eat protein in every meal to build the muscle, I feel comes from a fact that people have an imagination that when you eat animal foods, the whole thing gets converted to your muscle.
Directly.
Which it doesn't. It is
Yeah.
a process, and one has to digest, absorb, assimilate, and then utilize the amino acids. So I always tell people, I said, the main important crux of this is that you need to get amino acids. Now, it could be coming from any source. So why not a clean plant-based source which has maybe one less amino acid? Say plant foods, most of your grains and pulses, they have protein, but they lack in one amino acid. Your whole grains lack one amino acid and your pulses lack one essential amino acid. So when you have rajma chawal or when you have a whole grain and a pulse together, you're getting a meal which contains all amino acids, all essential amino acids.
So it is holistic.
It's holistic.
Complete.
It's complete. Besides that, like I said, plant proteins are easier to digest because they don't need so much stomach acid because the protein content is not so high and it's not so taxing on your body to kind of process that. So then the body deals with it, breaks it down, and you absorb. At the end, what matters is, are you getting the amino acids absorbed into your body, which then get formed into protein chains for different parts of your body, like hair and muscle and, bones and wherever the protein is needed. So the idea is to get the amino acid. But, like I said, this whole gym culture has kind of made it sound like you need to eat the animal protein. And as you eat the animal food, you will get strong, big muscles. We have also seen, haven't we seen a lot of vegan bodybuilders and building strong muscles, and so many of our sportsmen and athletes have turned vegan, and I think they're doing better in their game than ever before. So that is a testimony of how...
Definitely. Plus, I don't know how much of the food that we consume is meant for strength and just strength and not healing. I don't know if that food heals your body at the same time and nourishes your body. So I think there's definitely a difference between the two, right?
Absolutely.
Healing and strength.
Yeah, because what's going to heal your body is something that's not inflammatory. Inflammation is the biggest cause of every health issue that we are facing today. Inflammation is a very normal process that happens in the body day on day, but the body deals with it. And an inflamed body is a house of a diseased body.
What does that inflammation look like?
So basically, the body responds to these things thinking that there is some terrorist that's come in. So of course these foods get in and the body has to deal with them, and it releases cytokines because they are taxing for the body, and these cytokines are inflammatory, which starts damaging our own cells within. And that is why we start getting diabetes, thyroid, and heart issues. Why are so many young people dying because of heart attacks and cardiac arrest these days is because of inflammation. Because an inflamed artery starts holding all your cholesterol and your plaque inside to heal, because when your arteries get inflamed, they're damaged, and your cholesterol, poor thing, comes in to just act as a cement to the damage that is done. And we blame the cholesterol, and we don't understand the cause is the inflammation. Right. So when the cholesterol is high, people just get on to medications to lower cholesterol, and they're like, okay, my cholesterol has come down, so my heart is safe. But they're the same people then who die with a heart attack.
Wow. I don't think a lot of people know that.
Yeah, so why is that happening? That's because you are addressing the smoke, but not the source of the smoke, the fire within. When are you going to address that? You're not putting that out. You're just trying to get the smoke off. You're opening the windows, get the smoke off, but the fire is still there.
But because you mentioned packaged food and processed food, there's a huge misconception around plant protein that's packaged, mock meat, alt protein, and animal protein. So when that's sort of given to you as a replacement, a lot of people, of course, have concerns that this is processed, this is synthetic.
Of course it is.
What is your take on animal protein versus alt protein?
I feel, the mock meats and the alternative protein options or the meat options that we are getting in the market today are just a substitute for you to not miss the texture of the meat
And the taste, to
and the
some
taste
extent.
and the memory that you have associated with the meat. It is not for nourishment.
It's not for nourishment.
It is not for nourishment. In fact, it's far off from nourishment. So one needs to understand that all these plant meats, no matter how healthy they claim to be, they are all processed. They're made with soy and gluten, and a lot of, basically, they're lab made. And anything that's made in a plant and not grown on a plant is going to inflame you. Simple as that. Remember, when you eat a food, think about it. Is it made in a plant or is it grown on a plant? And you'll get your answer.
Wow.
And that's very important.
Easy.
Yeah.
That's simple to remember as well. But are they comparable? Do you think animal protein and plant protein, not just from an ethical point of view, but
In terms of
inflammatory-
nutrition profile?
Nutrition and inflammation both. Do you think they're comparable? Are they just as bad? Is one better than the other? Because, as you said, animal protein also contains your hormones and your toxins.
Yeah.
All of
The,
those
the
things.
modern animal does contain, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, even the primitive meat contained hormones because that's an inherent part of the animal. But your modern meat definitely contains hormones and toxins and all the things that we don't even know about. That's going into the
For
animal.
scalability, I guess, for the scale of the
For
industry.
scalability,
and
of course,
how-
because the demand is so high. How are you going to reach the demand? The supply has to be tampered. It has to be adulterated. It has to be played with, right? So, but when you ask me, is it comparable? In terms of nutrition profile, absolutely not, because the mock meat is not so high in protein as your animal meat is.
Okay.
And if you ask me in terms of inflammation, yes, because it's made in a lab and because it is a processed food. But if you ask me about how is mock meat comparable to animal meat, I would say it's definitely not close to the animal meat in terms of the nutrition profile because it's not as high in protein as your original meat is, your animal meat is, alternative
those two,
meat
yeah.
products, how clean is it? But it's still processed. It's still a food made in a lab. So one needs to understand that you need to really choose that wisely, and only when you're missing the taste and texture, go in for that. Don't replace all your meat with all mock meats because you're definitely doing no good to your body.
Yeah. What are easy alternatives for someone who's trying to be more plant-based, for someone who, obviously is transitioning from a non-vegetarian lifestyle to a more plant-forward, plant-curious veg lifestyle? What do I swap that with? What do I do when I really miss that texture, taste, without sort of succumbing to plant-based protein?
So I think the first and the most important step here is you need to make a list of all the animal foods you eat. So for me, I went cold turkey vegan overnight.
How did that happen?
It was a calling. I just felt I didn't want to eat something dead on my plate. I just felt like, why am I eating this energy? Do I really need? I think it was a spiritual calling. And whenever I would eat my meat, which I would eat for like 28 years of my life, I would get this weird pain in my upper stomach. And I was like, where is this coming from? Why is this coming? And then, I started questioning my choices. And I'm like, why am I eating dead? Why does somebody have to die to be on my plate? And to be in my body? Do I really need this? And just one fine day, I was like, I don't think I want to be a non-vegetarian anymore. I want to give up meat.
Wow. So
But
it was your own consciousness.
it was my own consciousness which made me do that. But I think for most people who want to make the switch, it's very difficult cold turkey going vegan, because you can really miss a lot of your animal foods that you eat in your day-to-day life.
Grown up eating that,
Yeah,
memories attached
and
to it,
memories
childhood.
and taste, and just the way you're eating through the day. Then you get so lost because you don't know what you have to choose. So I would suggest these people, if you really want to explore the path of a plant-based lifestyle, I'm not even saying going completely vegan, just exploring the path of a plant-based diet, you need to make a list of all the foods that you've been eating which are coming from an animal source, and then just see the best alternatives that you can have for them, and pick out maybe one or two foods which you think you least like out of the entire list and replace them first. Because then it's easier for you to try it out. It doesn't demotivate you. You're not really trying too hard and then giving up too soon, because most people do that. I'm planning to go vegan, and they completely remove everything, and after 1 week or 1 month or maybe a year, they're like, I just couldn't do it.
Yeah, so it's not sustainable.
It's not sustainable if you're trying too hard and you're pushing yourself too hard. If it's not coming from within to completely give up everything, but you want to give it a shot, then go slow, take it easy, and go step by step. So then, you have alternatives for your paneer, which is tofu, and, then you have, if you really want a meaty texture and you don't want to do mock meat, then I really like tempeh, because tempeh has that texture and has a little meaty taste, which is quite good for your palate initially to begin with.
High in protein as well.
And very high in protein and fermented, so great for your gut. So a lot of benefits there with tempeh. And now you're readily getting it everywhere. There's some great brands that have come up that are doing some clean tempeh in the market. And then, of course, you have milks, which you really don't need to worry about, because just 10 almonds and soak it at night, next morning.
Make it at home.
Yeah, just blend it with 1 glass of water, strain it, your almond milk is ready. So I think you just got to choose what is your least favorite thing out of that list, replace any two, then get to the next two, and then to the next two. And that way you'll kind of accustom your taste buds to get used to a sort of different way of eating. You'll start enjoying the plant-based alternatives more, because you've given yourself that time to understand if your body really likes it and if that's meant for you.
And to experiment as well
And
at
to
the same time. Until you
experiment.
try different brands and see, what really suits your taste, and then stick to it.
Absolutely. And so many people think just because I'm a vegan, I turn all my clients into vegans. And I'm like,
Do you?
no, because I understand a human preference and a human psychology more than just wanting to turn them vegan. It's not my ego game here. Just because I'm a vegan, I want to turn you vegan. No. Then why am I your coach? If I have to dictate your life, I'm not a coach. I'm an authority, and that's not what I am. If I'm your health coach, I'm going to guide you, and I'm going to tell you, okay, you have these hormonal issues, or you have this issue, or you have that problem in the body, or your blood work looks skewed in a way that I see a lot of inflammation in your body. Just for some time, can we do this? And I want you to try it out for yourself. And that doesn't mean I'm going to completely make them go off their eggs and non-veg and everything.
Dahi and-
Dairy is something I would still want to get them off, because I feel even if you're not going vegan, I think dairy today is such a highly adulterated industry that it's causing problem in everyone, be it a kid, be it an adult, be it a grandparent. It's really affecting the gut of the nation, I feel. It's ruining our guts.
Are we naturally lactose intolerant? Do you think humans are naturally lactose intolerant to any other milk than their own mother's milk? Because we are the only mammals that consume milk from other mammals.
I mean, see, technically, we all have these enzymes to digest milk till the age of 2 or 3, because nature knows it's till that time we need milk to sustain life and to kind of get strengthened and
Till
improve.
the age of 2 or 3.
2, 3, 4 at the
Okay.
max 4.
Okay.
And after that, our body stops producing those enzymes because it's not needed to sustain life. But what we do is we keep putting that food in, so the body adapts. Our body is beautiful. It works tirelessly, relentlessly to keep us surviving. No matter what you do, right now you and me are talking, it's doing a gazillion functions
Things
inside,
of course.
which we're not even aware about. So it loves us more than we love it. So
That's true.
it is going to keep doing what it has to do. So if you're putting something in, your body is not going to go on a protest or a morcha and say, now you've put this in, I'm not going to serve you. Your body says, okay, well, if this is something I have to deal with, I have to deal with.
But it deals with it.
It
It's
deals
something
with
that
it. It
has to put up
adapts.
with.
But the damage it keeps happening. The damage is happening. That's the reason why I've launched my own vegan curd brand called
Which is
Yoga Tea.
delicious. I've tried it at a vegan festival and I've missed dahi puri. And finally, after so many years, to be able to try dahi puri in India, it was a game changer.
To launch this brand was because I missed dahi puri. I missed my chaat, and I'm such a chaat fanatic. I can't tell you. Like my whole entire childhood evening snack used to be chaat. Like at least 4-5 times a week. Bhel puri, safe puri, like how it was.
Usual evening
Yeah.
meal out. For
a Mumbaiite, I think chaat is life.
That's true.
And after I gave up meat and dairy and I became a vegan, I'm like, okay, what happens about the dahi? Like everything else I've got. What happens about the dahi? Then I tried peanut curd, I tried coconut, but nothing could match up. Nothing could give me the dahi puri I wanted, the papdi chaat I wanted, the dahi vada I wanted.
You gave me that. Yoga tea gave me that.
Absolutely. And I was like, we need to work on this. And then this happened. We worked on the recipe. It really turned out beautiful. And Now we have in Mumbai, we are actually serving vegan chaat at certain places with our dahi, and I think people are relishing it.
Of
And my
course.
heart swells with happiness when I see that. I'm like, there are so many like me who would be missing this, and wow, finally we have
You
something
made that
to
happen. No, thank
enjoy.
you. Thank you for that. That was
I'm so
in
glad.
spirit of public service, definitely.
Absolutely.
That's what
Actually,
you've
it
done.
started from a very selfish desire to eat dahi chaat. But then I realized, I said, like me, there are many. And I think it just would be a great thing to do. So,
Hmm.
and it's clean, no preservatives, no chemicals. It naturally has a 30-day shelf life. So you could make curry out of it. You could make raita, chas. You could just do everything with it like
I've
a normal
missed,
dahi
essentially.
does.
Everything you miss being vegan, that's the first thing you get told. Dahi, buttermilk, charge. But you did touch upon paneer. And that is something that's so ingrained in our diets. And that is, I think, one thing people find paneer is so hard to give up. What are your thoughts on paneer in terms of nutrition, digestion, but also what does paneer do to your body?
See my expression. Well, I made a reel on paneer and the facts about it, and I was trolled. And how
What were the comments like?
the reel went viral, and people were abusing me and getting nasty on my feed, and they wanted to literally kill me because I spoke against their beloved paneer.
That's how emotional
And-
India is about
Oh
paneer.
yeah, but then someone has to break the break the myth and speak the truth. So be it. But
You took a bullet for everyone.
I took a bullet. I took it, and happily. Do you remember as a kid how many times a week would you have eaten paneer?
3, 4 minimum. I'd say I think there'll be one meal a day that would consist paneer. That would
As
consist
a
of paneer.
kid?
As a kid, or even like growing up for that matter, paneer is such a big staple in my
But
household.
I feel, okay, maybe I am one generation older to you, and I feel in my house, paneer was made only when guests were coming.
It's a delicacy.
Frequency of paneer being made at home was not as it is now. People are consuming paneer as a source of protein for vegetarians, being vegetarians. It's not consumed as a delicacy. It's not consumed as a royal food that you serve to your guests when they come in. And I remember my grandmom would make paneer when some guest was coming in, or when we had some, function at home. It was a very royal thing. It was a very occasional
Mehmanon
thing.
ko khilana. It was
Max
that.
twice a week.
Yeah.
Now, when clients come to me, I said, "What do you eat for dinner?" Paneer. 150-gram paneer every day. I'm like, why?
So it's become normalized. You
For
think, over time?
protein. I'm like, but do you know that paneer with protein contains more fat? Because it's not a direct substitute to your meat. Your meat has more protein, but your milk has fat, right?
That's true.
I said, what are you doing about the fat? And then you wonder, why is your cholesterol going up? Why you have bone pain? Why you have indigestion? When I spoke about it, people were really upset, and they were like, okay, but paneer is this and paneer is that. I'm like, you are happy to eat your paneer if you want to, but I had to just speak the truth about
Were you
it.
expecting that kind of backlash? Just
I think I
being-
was.
you were.
I knew it.
Yeah.
I knew it.
You wanted to do it regardless. You're like, I'll digest the
I'm
hate.
not speaking on my social media to please people.
Yeah. Despite the backlash that you got on the paneer video, and do you want to highlight what you spoke about in that reel? Like, what did you mention against paneer, or what was your argument for not consuming paneer? Concisely, if you can tell me.
Well, I just spoke about how the paneer is not different from your milk, because whatever gets into your milk, all the hormones, antibiotics, the toxins, and all the adulteration stuff that's happening with the dairy industry, the modern milk industry, of course, gets into your paneer. And even more, because the commercial paneer industry will add its own additives to make it more softer, more tastier, and all of that. It's a very commercial product. It's not something. Who today eats paneer made at home? Very few people. Like how our grandparents used to do. No one has the time to. Yeah. But even if you're doing that, you cannot do away with the hormones and the toxins which are there in the milk today. And then of course how dairy is very addictive because it activates the opiate receptors in the brain. So is your paneer. And then I also spoke about how it's inflammatory, it causes respiratory issues, and how it's higher in saturated fat, which then affects your visceral fat and then leads to other health issues in the body. So yes, people weren't. I don't think people were ready to receive it. I don't blame them because there's a huge emotional connect with the food we eat. Especially in India, uh, paneer, dahi, doodh has ghee has a very deep emotional connect with people, and it's a very um, traditional food which is carried on for generations. In our families.
So the strong affinity that we feel towards paneer, you think that's based on our upbringing, culture, the food that we used to eat when we grew up, the memories associated with it, nostalgia, but also very strong emotional connect.
Very strong emotional connect, and that's why I think people don't want to hear anything bad about their favorite food, even though it's doing all the bad in their body. So I've seen it in real practice.
Yeah.
When you take the dairy off, like I was telling you, it's not about making me as a nutritionist making everybody a vegan, but getting the inflammation out of your system. Even if that means, like, for some months I have to get it off and you want to go back to it and ration your intake the way you want to do, it's fine, but at least initially you have to get it off so that your body gets a breather. The body understands, okay, the inflammatory substance has stopped coming into my system, and now I have time and space and energy to do other things and heal the other things in the body, not just deal with the inflammatory foods that are coming in. So I had a client who came to me and he was a hardcore non-vegetarian, and he was 150 kgs when he came to me. This was about in peak lockdown. And the first thing he told me is, Neha, please don't make me a vegan because I've heard you're a vegan. I said, are you crazy? I'm not here for that. So he said, okay. And then I just rationed his non-veg and I just told him, eat this maybe twice a week because I want to get the inflammation off. He understood and he was ready to do that because
So people are open, even if
when you
tell them to
educate
sort
them
of, yeah,
and you explain them and you give them a very strong
reasoning, behind.
reasoning and explanation for why you're doing something with them, they do receive it well and they are happy to try it at least for a week. In a week, he lost 6 kgs, which is too much, but because he was 150 kgs, losing 6 kgs was just the water weight, just the excess bloat and the water weight which came off. But I'm not kidding, Shreya. After a year, he lost about 50 kgs. So he lost 50 kgs in a year. This was peak lockdown. And when he came to me, he was a changed person. And he said, you know what, Neha, I cannot stand non-veg now.
His body was rejecting it after you.
His body, his taste buds, he didn't want to eat it. So I tell people, I said, sometimes health is more addictive than the junk you eat, but it's just about giving that health and that lifestyle a chance, because it's so addictive that you'll really not want to miss out on your healthy food and your workout.
Yeah, paneer's become synonymous to protein, right? A lot of times people wouldn't give paneer up because they think that's the biggest source of protein that they have in a vegetarian.
And
Exactly.
also, I don't blame people, but it's also like I said, the gym industry and a lot of trainers that promote paneer to their vegetarian clients to eat paneer after their workout or as a meal after their workout for protein. So it's actually being endorsed at many places and it's being promoted a lot. So people feel it's the right thing to do.
Without questioning
it, without even being aware that after you eat it, what are you feeling in your body? How is it responding? Are you even feeling anything in your gut? They don't want to think about it because I'm getting X number of protein, I'm getting X number of this nutrient from this food. It's been broken down to that. So people are not really thinking about the intricacies of their food,
Where does it come from, though, the endorsement or advertising paneer to the extent that it's been advertised? Where do you think it comes from if you go back to the root of it?
So I think it's the protein culture. And of course, we've been told, no, doodh bachpan se piyo, you'll get strong bones. And we've seen ads on television and we've heard slogans and, we've seen hoardings of how a glass of milk can just be a lifesaver. Haven't we seen all of that as, as children and even as adults now also? And something that has been literally ingrained into us. It's been we've been made to believe no milk, you're going to die.
Yeah, I heard that the first day I went vegan. But more than paneer, it was ghee. Ghee is something that is, I think, it's emotional, it's spiritual, there's religious connotations to it. And that is one thing that everyone told me. It's okay if you're not eating cheese, butter, milk, but don't give up ghee. Ghee is so essential to your digestive system. It's so essential for your overall well-being, your functioning. How can you give ghee up? What do you have to say about ghee?
See, I am not against ghee with the composition of the fat it has. So it has good amount of omega-6, and the good fatty acids in it, the fatty acids that your body probably needs. So if you ask me about ghee, it is better than your plant oils because it has a higher smoke point. So when it when it comes down to cooking your food or adding it to your food or heating it,
Why is it better?
it has a higher smoke point.
Why is that better?
So it doesn't get degraded very fast when it's heated, and because the other oils, when you heat them at a very high temperature, they get oxidized and they produce a lot of toxins, the plant oils that we consume. But ghee does not do that. So that's why it's one very good source of fat in terms of cooking Indian food. And we all know cooking Indian food is always done in a pressure cooker, or heating it and literally killing your food with the heat, how it's cooked. So that's one reason why ghee is a better choice for cooking. But of course, again, ghee is completely fat. It's the fat part of your dairy. And fat is the part where most of your toxins stay.
Where most of your toxins stay.
Yeah. Even in your body, your fat stores most of the toxins because it can handle those toxins without getting damaged itself. But if it goes to any other organ, it's going to get damaged. So your fat has an affinity for the toxins. So your ghee is going to have the hormones and the toxins that's in the milk. Okay. You cannot again
You can't separate
do away
that
with
out
it.
of-
You can't
yeah.
separate that. And of course, so then, that's another source that you're putting into your system. I know a lot of people say all our foods are adulterated and they're tampered, and even the vegetables are injected, even this is injected. Of course, then you have options. You can choose organic, you can opt for cleaner sources, you can get to know your vegetable vendor and see where the vegetables and all are coming from. You still have an option for that. But again, with the animal foods, unless you have your own cow or your own tabela that you say, how are you going to make sure that the milk that's coming doesn't have all those things? Your cow is treated with all the love and affection, and her calf is given all the priority before you are stealing away her milk. How are you going to ensure all of that? Unless you have a cow and you have your own pet cow below your house, and then you're doing the milching job every day, and you're getting the milk. And
Yeah. Wow. But any backlash you've heard in terms of the religious connotations of ghee? How, we've been consuming it since centuries and it's pure. We offer it to God. So how can you reject something that is so spiritual and so religious and so pure in our culture?
yeah, but what was so pure and so good in our culture is no more that good and pure, na? When are we going to progress, and when are we going to see the truth? Why are we in denial? Why is the whole nation in denial and wanting to ignore the fact of what's happening in the industry, ignore the fact of how they are treated, and not understanding the spiritual connection of that food with our body and our life? And if we want to always be happy and be treated with love and affection, why is that cow that's not treated that way and that cow's milk good for you? How does that even relate? I mean, I don't know how people relate to that.
A cow, we worship our cows. Cows are considered sacred. So anything that comes out of the cow, I think we believe that to be pure for our own bodies as well.
Exactly. So today, if you have a very religious like a religious connection to your ghee, because you feel, oh, I want to light a ghee ka diya for God, you can also light a mustard oil ka diya, with mustard oil in it. You can, right? I mean, there are options. But why is it that your God will only be pleased if you're burning ghee ka diya?
I think that's what we've
God
believed
does not
for
God does
centuries.
does not have any biases. God has no preferences. God does not have punishments and rewards. It's just your belief, and that is what you're abiding by. But then if you want to see the truth and you want to bring about a change in the society, then take a step.
What are the top alternatives to ghee in your opinion, in terms of consumption, but also in terms of religious offerings? Are there any good alternatives to ghee that exist in the market today?
I've seen some good alternatives to ghee which you can add to your food, which are made with actually coconut oil. So it's nice. They're not bad. They kind of taste very similar to ghee, and
Does coconut oil also have a high smoke point?
yes,
It does. Okay.
yes, it's very good for baking. You can cook at high temperatures, so similar. So you could actually use that, or you could also use coconut oil just in your food, or you could use sesame oil or mustard oil, because these all oils have higher smoke point. Irrespective whichever oil you're using, the intake of oil has to be minimal, not like just liberally pour. That's what Indians do, right? But they don't understand your 1 cup of peanut gives you 1 tablespoon of oil. You're not going to eat 1 cup of peanut at a time. It's going to give you a tummy ache. But you don't even think, and
Generously
just in a
lather
very
oil.
unconscious state, you're just pouring oil and oil in your food because it tastes better. But that excess concentrated oil is going to affect your liver. That's why today we have people roaming around with fatty livers without even consuming too much alcohol. So non-alcoholic fatty livers are happening. And the gut is getting affected, and diabetes, because all that fat gets into the belly, visceral fat.
Tell me about alcohol. Tell me about our relationship, our body's relationship with alcohol.
So if you ask me about our relationship with alcohol, as in humans' relationship with alcohol, it's a match made in heaven, na? For people. But not for your body. It's too much work for your body.
What does it do? What is me consuming a glass of alcohol?
Directly, your liver has to get to work when you're drinking alcohol. And your liver has to do the job.
Of processing it?
Of course, because your liver has to, detoxify it, process it, and then work on the excretion part of it. But we also don't realize that today we are really walking around with a lot of sluggish livers around us. Because of the food we are eating, the way we are living, the lack of sleep, and the excess stress, our liver takes a hit on everything. For that matter, even what we put on our skin, those toxins enter our system, and our liver has to process them. There is no way they just get evaporated from your skin. They have to go through a process, and your liver takes a hit. So we are really walking around with sluggish and overburdened livers. And then you're drinking alcohol, and people don't drink a glass. Come on, Shreya, you said, what does a glass of alcohol do to you? Who drinks a glass? Who's drinking? People are drinking to get sloshed. People are drinking to get high. People are drinking to soothe their emotions, to bury their emotions, to not feel the pain that they want to feel. So if you're drinking for all of that, and you're drinking so much till you get to the point of feeling, okay, I exist and I can breathe, and okay, now I don't want to think. I want to run away from my own brain and my own mind and my own thoughts.
The numbing. Using food as numbing cream.
Absolutely. So that much of alcohol your liver has to process. Already bichara is sluggish inside. Already it's like crying for help, and it's saying, please give me a break. And then a sluggish liver cannot produce enough bile and the other juices that we need for digestion, and then our gut takes a hit. It's a whole lot of mess.
So it's just slippery slope. Alcohol and the aftermath on your body.
Obviously. And then you're feeding the bad bacteria in your gut. Yep, it's not one thing, right? It's the whole thing. Everything, the whole system gets damaged.
What does it do to our minds? What does excessive consumption of alcohol do to our minds, our thoughts, our thinking, our functioning?
It actually numbs you, and it does not equip you to process your emotions. It's very important to understand that any sort of healing that needs to happen. Why are there so many mental issues happening today? Because people are not healing. People are just burying their thoughts, burying their emotions, not wanting to face themselves. I had a client who came to me the other day, and I just told her, I said, Auntie, can you please do 5 minutes of meditation in the morning? Just start with 5 minutes. She's like, no, Neha, I can't close my eyes for a minute. I'm like, why? She's saying, because then all thoughts start, they just start cropping up. I'm like, but it's okay. You're not your thoughts. They are just there. You have to just let it flow like a river. You have to just let it pass. She's saying, no, I get very worked up. And I said, okay, can we try 2 minutes? Then her daughter said, okay, I'll assist her and I'll make her sit for 2 minutes. And when she came the next week, she was like, okay, I sat for 2 minutes, but with a lot of restlessness. And it made me feel so sad. I'm like, people can't close their eyes and be with themselves for 2 minutes. What is 2 minutes? But even those 2 minutes are so difficult for people to close their eyes and just be with themselves, because we are not processing our emotions. We are not allowing ourselves to feel the pain. We want to just bury the pain and move on to the next and move on to the next. That's why we are roaming around triggered all the time. We are triggered by everybody and everything.
For a lot of people, the trigger was your paneer video.
They got
that
triggered when
case,
they saw that.
yeah.
They could have just seen it as an opinion, probably done a little more research or understood that, okay, there could be some truth to it. They just didn't want to hear it. So that triggered them. But obviously, so one needs to understand that you have to feel your emotions. But when you drown yourself in alcohol or sugar or emotional eating, chocolates, any kind of food which makes you feel better momentarily, when you're feeling the dark emotion or the negative thoughts and you're numbing yourself instantly, you are taking yourself 10 steps away from healing yourself mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, because you are not ready to feel what is also a part of you. Who said life is only going to be happiness and bliss and joy? What about the anger, the frustration, the sadness? It's a part of the same coin. We are just, it's two sides of a coin. And
I don't
we
think
don't.
you can feel joy without the pain. I don't think there's the capacity for joy without pain.
You'll never value joy without the pain. You'll never value the sun until it's dark. So there's always duality in this life that we live. So when you have to heal, you have to feel. And alcohol doesn't let you do that, because it's numbing you. It's slowing your mind, it's shutting your brain. It says, okay, just move on like a robot, because now you feel nothing.
We prefer that. We prefer living life on autopilot.
Yeah, but isn't that a life of misery? Why is there so much suffering in life today? And life is not meant to be lived in autopilot. It's meant to be lived in awareness and consciousness. Only when you're aware is when you are a superhuman, because awareness brings about every change, and every step you take with awareness is a step taken in the right direction. And people don't get that.
What's the relationship between being junk vegan or making the connection between whatever is vegan is healthy? How do you...
Again, vegan. Now, forget vegan and non-vegan. Everything in front of you is vegan. Think about it. Is it made in a plant or has it grown on a plant?
Yeah, that's going to be my question. Every time I consume something, I think that's what I'm going to ask myself.
Some yummy biscuits, some yummy chips, some yummy everything that's vegan in the market, which is on the shelf. And my clients come and tell me, they're like, Neha, it's written vegan here. Can I have this? I'm like, no. They're like, it's vegan. I'm like, but it has palm oil, it has INS blah blah blah, it has ENS blah blah blah, which your body doesn't recognize. So no. So I want to just make that clear that everything that you eat vegan is not healthy. Again, it has to be wholesome, natural. It has to be something that's grown on a plant, something that has nutrients in it that nourishes you, and not just satisfies your taste buds,
But even palm oil, I think, for extreme vegans, or palm oil for vegans in general, is not considered vegan, considering rainforest destruction and everything that comes with it, all the natural destruction that palm oil is associated.
That you would know better, Shreya, because I still have to get into that aspect of veganism, which is very deep, as to how one food affects the whole ecosystem.
Biodiversity,
exactly.
harming other animals. And that's not really considered vegan. For example, a lot of vegans that I know wouldn't really eat from a fast food chain that supports murder of thousands and billions of other animals. I think there's a lot more to it than just the word vegan. But these are fancy words, right? Vegan, plant-based, all of these are fancy words. So if you were to contextualize this for India, what does a vegan diet or plant-based diet look like in our culture with ingredients that we grow here, we consume?
Yeah, I think, these are labels given to the kind of food we eat, and then, we label ourselves. Okay, I'm a vegan, I'm a this. But I think it's primarily just being aware of what you're eating and what you're putting in your mouth. Even if you don't want to turn a vegan, you just want to be more plant-based, fine. You want to choose foods that are not coming from an animal, fine. You want to choose, forget foods, even lifestyle products like bags and shoes and want to avoid leather and wool and silk. It's a choice you make. But the first step is awareness, and you actually ask yourself, where do I want to see myself, and what am I okay to consume and what am I not okay to consume? So instead of just labeling yourself something, first understand your own self and understand what are your belief systems and where you want to bring about the shift in your own life. Start with yourself, and then others will follow around you. But what is your core value that one needs to understand? And I think in India, everything is very readily and very easily converted into vegan or plant-based, because most of the food we eat is plant-based. Our dal chawal, our roti sabzi, everything is plant-based.
Chaat, except the dahi. Chaat.
Now yogurty dahi chaat. So yes, that's vegan. So everything in South Indian foods is vegan. Your idli, your dosa, unless they're putting curd in it. But most of it is vegan, And all you have to do is just be aware that does it have any animal products in it, and do I really want to eat it? And then you have a free will. You can choose whatever you want to do.
What do you think of other nutritionists or health coaches heavily recommending, dahi chawal or ghee or an excess of dairy or meat to their clients? Have there ever been disagreements? Have there ever been, any mismatch in terms of what is being advised?
Mismatch where? Like, where would you, is it on social media or
Social media, just generally, like clients coming in from, somebody else saying that I was advised to eat this and now you're telling me not to eat that. So just that clash in who's recommending what.
Exactly. So yes, I've had a lot of clients coming from other nutritionists and saying, okay, I was advised this, and this one said this is really good for me, but I still had my PCOS symptoms. I still have acne. I still, I'm not able to get over it. And I'm like, okay, if you trust me, because the first thing I tell my clients is the two things that I need from you while working with me is trust in the process and patience. I'm not somebody who's here for instant gratification for you, and you want quick results, so I'm going to like push it. I'm not going to do it. It's better you don't come to me. I want you to understand your body, to understand your health. Give it time and patience, because the body needs that time and that love and that kind of, the kind of attention and the space to heal itself. So don't rush it. Don't rush me. Don't rush your body. Have patience. You will get to your results. Enjoy the journey. Enjoy the journey of the change, because that's a beautiful part. What you'll remember is the feeling you had when you saw small changes, and you celebrated smaller wins, which you thought were never possible. That is the joy that will keep you going to the next and the next and the next. I'm not here for your instant gratification. So that's the first thing. So trust and patience is extremely important. And then, of course, we work on what did that nutritionist tell you, because now that's become a part of their system. But that one told me this.
Exactly.
And I'm like,
conditioning, trusting that other person.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, if that one told you this, then by now you should have been okay with all your issues. If you're not and you've come to me, now please clean your mind, make it a clean slate, and let's start afresh. And let's see what we can get to. And then, of course, then I work with them, then education, giving them the knowledge, ultimately making them health independent. That's my goal. Yeah, we talk about financial independence. We talk about all sort of other independence. But nobody talks about being health independent. Because there's so much information available on social media that you get confused. And you get confused as to what's going to happen with you. People just read anything and they're like, Neha, I read, this symptom will lead to cancer. I'm like, every symptom will eventually lead to cancer. Even constipation leads to cancer.
Yeah.
Can you stop reading Google and creating more fear for yourself?
So Neha, what does impact look like for you in the space that you're in? When do you feel fulfilled? What gives you purpose?
I think just seeing my clients reverse their conditions, feel better, feel vibrant, being able to get through their day without judging themselves, without sabotaging themselves. And I think that drives me really, waking up, touching people's lives. That even that bit that I could do, even that bit that I can do to kind of make them feel better about themselves, I think that kind of drives me. And see people I find our body very magical. So I feel it's a beautiful instrument, that we have, and a beautiful vessel which responds so amazingly when you do the right thing with it. And see that shift happen when you do the right thing. I think that's very exciting for me.
When you treat it the way that it treats you. Is veganism a part of your impact?
Of course it is, because in a lot of ways I talk about how veganism is not about only choosing to eat plant-based or, just giving up animal foods, but also in your lifestyle. Like kind of choosing non-leather stuff, trying to choose cosmetics, products which are cruelty-free, vegan. And I think that makes a big difference, because then, you are supporting you're supporting the cause in a bigger and a better way than just choosing one part of it.
Yeah, but that obviously, even to me, it didn't come overnight. It was such a steep learning curve from understanding that veganism to me was just food. Okay, I've given up dairy. Then it was honey. I didn't know honey was not vegan. Then, it came to learning about a couple of products. I know a lot of sugar brands that are not particularly vegan. I knew a couple of chocolate brands that are not vegan. So I think just eliminating that and then getting on to, oh, but you're vegan and you're carrying that leather bag. Oh, you're vegan, but, you wear a down jacket. So it, I think, kind of just extended itself to all other aspects of my life, and that's tough.
Yeah. That awareness comes in later. For me also, it happened only over the last couple of years, where I realized, okay, leather, do I need this? Why am I buying this? So whatever I had, I used, because now it's already there. I've bought it. But then I was like, do I need to buy more? Do I need to buy leather? Then I started looking out for vegan leather products, and there's some amazing brands doing amazing work. I feel there's some amazing brands doing shoes and bags and cosmetics, because why not support them? They are supporting the same cause that you are rooting for. Then why not support them and carry their products and their stuff?
But did you ever feel as if the onus was on you to do the research, to switch? Was it convenient? Was it easy? What was the switch like for you in terms of giving up everything that was non-vegan from your past life to what did the transition look like?
Yeah, so actually I wouldn't say the onus was on me, because that sounds like, oh, that was like burdensome. It was more like curiosity.
You took it as curiosity?
I took it as curiosity. I'm like, okay, now I have a whole bunch of lipsticks and makeup that's filled with crap. Where do I start from, and where do I change it?
Was that overwhelming?
It was initially, because you have a whole bunch of things. You can't just bin it
Exactly.
at one go. You have sentiments.
Sustainability.
You have a sustainability and you have sentiments. And it's also like you've invested a certain amount of money in those products. You need a heart to kind of bin it at one time, right? I didn't have that heart. I'm like, okay, then let me just buy 2 lipsticks from this brand, which is vegan. Let me buy 1 bag from this. Let me buy 1. And over the years, my entire collection changed. And now I would say it's 90% vegan. Jo bacha kucha hoga will be pehle ka, which I must have bought, and now that also will go when the time comes. That will also go out. So it took me that long to kind of get there. It wasn't an overnight thing. With food, it was overnight. With other things and lifestyle products, it takes time. And when I turned vegan about 7 years back, there were no vegan brands for lifestyle. This only happened after COVID. Like literally, it was 2021. I saw the rise in these kind of products, vegan lipsticks, vegan this, vegan, because the whole awareness of plant-based and veganism grew during COVID. People stopped eating non-veg because they thought they would contract some other virus, and that whole thing, So I think that sort of helped, and it assisted.
Even if they existed, I think they weren't accessible, they weren't convenient, they were outside of a price point, higher, more expensive. So I think there was definitely all of those factors that also accounted for someone choosing to not switch to veganism, which I'm very happy to see that has changed considerably over the last few years.
In fact, these brands are doing so well that I see non-vegans using it just because their product is so good.
And that's when we won. That's when you don't exist in that echo chamber, and that's when you start having your impact outside of people that are already vegan. Exactly. So I think when they start adopting it, you've definitely won.
And when you talk about impact, I think the other way I didn't mean to do it, but I was just utilizing my time in the best way. And I did that by writing 3 books during the 3 years of COVID. Yeah.
Three books during 3 years.
Yeah.
Tell me about those books.
So it just started with a thought where people would ask me, Neha, I need some recipes, and especially clients who were ready to adopt the vegan lifestyle, and they said, okay, we want to try it, and we want to give it a shot, but we don't know where to start. So can you compile a set of recipes for us and stuff? So I started writing my own recipes that I had already experimented, because I used to take vegan cheese classes and vegan cooking classes when I turned vegan, like a year or 2 after that, because in the process of adapting to the vegan lifestyle, I had to also please my taste buds, because I had a certain sense of memory with certain foods that I was attached to.
That you were missing.
I was missing them.
Yeah.
So I started cooking. So I had all those recipes. So I started compiling them. And then it occurred to me, I'm like, okay, why am I just doing it for my clients? These are recipes that everyone can utilize, everyone can make, everyone can enjoy. So I said, okay, let's turn it into a small booklet from the small booklet, it turned into a guide. So they were not just recipes. Then I started with breakfast and I said how to eat your breakfast, what are the right things to do, the do's, don'ts. It became a guide, a breakfast guide. So breakfast guide, launched that, did really well. People appreciated. I said, okay, next year, peak COVID. I said, what do we do? Write a beverage book. So I wrote beverage. So all sorts of beverages, coolers, warmers, teas. And then I was like, the third book I want to write is dessert, because I asked my audience, I said, what would you like for me to write, and what would you want to experiment with? And they said desserts. I'm like, that's best. I love desserts. So then
That's what I miss the most.
Yeah. So last year I launched my dessert book, and
Congratulations.
yeah. So I was so happy that in 3 years I had 3 books, and they're all guides. They're not just recipes. They're like a whole bunch of information that you have about the right ways of doing certain things. And
What are they called? Where can we find them?
it's called they're all reboot series. So it's beverage reboot, breakfast reboot, dessert reboot. So it was a reboot series. And you can find them on my website, neharanglani.com. They're also available on Amazon Kindle version. And yeah, so those were the books. And I have my own snack brand, which I started some years back. So when I turned vegan, I wanted to provide my clients with clean snacking options in between meals, because it's very difficult when you're on a certain plan. You don't know what to eat. You want to eat tasty, but all you find is makhanas. All you find is the same boring stuff, which after a point you want a little more variety. So I came up with my snack brand, which has vegan chocolates and some yummy snacks, some cookies, some khakras, and a bunch of things again, which you can check out on my website. But that happened, and that brand is called Niramaya, which means freedom from illness. It's a Sanskrit word.
And I'm sure that's what you're doing as well. But
yeah, that's my core value, when my work value. So yes,
that's what I wanted to get into. So if I were to come to you, the word, I think the concept of integrative health coach is new to me. So if you were to break that down for us, what does that mean, and what does the process look like for someone willing to adapt to a more holistic lifestyle?
So, when you talk about an integrative health coach, nutritionist, it's different from a conventional nutritionist, which I was for all my life till I became an integrative and upgraded my knowledge, and I studied, and now I'm also doing functional medicine. So it basically is looking at the person as a whole and not just the diet, because I know how it functions. As a conventional nutritionist, we were taught only to look at a person in terms of what they are eating and what their food looks like, and again the numbers, the calories and the protein, and which I could never understand. And I could never even relate to it, because I'm like, I can't eat food by counting. These whole food apps where you have to put in what you're eating and you count calories, I'm like, too much work, I can't do this. And I don't make my clients also do it, because it's not intuitive. Then there's a sense of fear, and there's a sense of disconnection with your own body, and your relation with your food gets really it gets affected. So I didn't want to go that route at all. But an integrative nutritionist, what we do is we actually see the person as a whole, and we understand that the root of their problem may not be their food. So we find the root of their problem, which could be coming from their thoughts, from their emotions, or counseling them on that, or then putting them onto the right people who can help them. Also understanding their stress levels, their sleep patterns, in general, their attitude towards life, and seeing where is the issue. Because you could be eating an entire bowl of broccoli and still contract a lot of diseases, or you could be eating an entire piece of cake and still sailing through smoothly in life.
I've seen people like that.
Because it's your attitude, it's the way you're living life, it's the way you're taking life as it comes. So also understanding who the person is. It's about who the person is and not what disease the person has. That is what integrative nutrition and functional medicine is all about, where you don't focus on the diagnosis, you focus on the person. Who are you? What's your background? What are your traumas? Where are you coming from? What's affecting you? And then work on that. Because for some people, it's not the food. Their food is perfect, but their stress is affecting their gut. And we don't talk about that. Or their excess exercise. Their absolute obsession with working out more to get to a certain body, but they're not even getting closer to that, because they've been conditioned to think that exercising so much is important, 2 hours a day and blah blah blah. So understanding, helping them change their mindset, helping them align all the aspects of their life, mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually, because a lot of people have no sense of purpose, and that is what is affecting them.
So, looking at a human being as more than just a number, looking at them for all of the emotions, the trauma, the pain, the joy, the capacity for feeling those emotions, everything that they carry. And that's what you do.
So I'm literally creating a safe space for people in my clinic where they just come in and they're just sitting there and I'm like, how are you? And they start weeping. And it's nothing, I'm doing nothing. It's just a safe space. And I think we all humans are just all about that, because when you just give somebody all your attention and you listen to them unconditionally and non-judgmentally, you can shift a lot within them without even speaking a word. And that's power. That's power of a health coach.
To be seen, I think, just to let someone be seen and heard.
Because all the answers are within us, actually, Shreya. We just need the right questions and we just need that little nudge. We have the answers within us because we all are the same. We all are the souls. We are all the divine operating through these bodies. So it's just, you need the right direction. And once people get that, they live a better quality of life.
So, does the coach have a coach?
Yeah, that's a good question. I've had a lot of people help me through my journey, and I won't shy away from saying that, because I'm not know-it-all. I'm not born with all the knowledge from my mom's womb. I also have had my own share of ups and downs in life, and sometimes you feel the doctor can't take its own medicine, and the doctor also needs a doctor, and a therapist also needs a therapist. So yes, I've also had a lot of people, not in terms of nutrition, but just in terms of
just community being there for you, giving you that support system.
Absolutely understanding how the mind works, how do I deal with my own emotions, the spiritual side of life, which I think is beautiful, and I think that has changed my entire vision of how I look at life. But the day you live with the awareness and the consciousness that this is just a movie, your life is just a movie, because in this movie you are Shreya Godawat, in this movie I'm Neha Ranglani. I don't know in the next movie what am I going to be.
Yeah,
I don't know. So if this is so impermanent, why am I taking life so seriously? And this really works when things don't go your way. This awareness, and when you live with this consciousness that it's okay, this too shall pass, because this is impermanent, and this entire thing is just a play. So don't get attached. Don't get too obsessed by your worries or what's going to happen next. Don't get too excited with things going right. Don't get too disappointed with things not going your way, because it's all eventually gonna fade. And that spiritual knowledge, with a few of my close spiritual gurus and coaches that have helped me, has really changed the way I look at life. And that has changed me as a coach, because then there's a lot I can do for my clients depending on where they are in their journey, and help them also in their spiritual journey and their spiritual growth. I mean, I'm no guru here, but the teachings that probably have come to me, if I could even touch them, a little bit with that, and they can change the way they look at life, I think it's a battle won, because we are our only limit. If you get into my clinic, the first thing you'll see is a big poster which says your only limit is you.
And that's true. We get in the way of ourselves, I think, more than anyone else.
So I've had coaches, I have had a lot of people help me, and I think we all need help.
Definitely.
We all need help, and
We're
there's
just
no
too afraid
harm
to ask sometimes.
It's strength to ask for help, and it's vulnerability is your biggest strength, because only when you can show you're vulnerable and you need help and you ask for help, you transform from the caterpillar to the butterfly.
You also make it okay for someone else to ask for help, someone else who would have shied away from that otherwise. So is food spiritual to you? Is nutrition spiritual? Is veganism a part of your spirituality?
Everything is spiritual. What is human? Human is temporary. It's the spiritual which is permanent. So everything is spiritual, and like I said, when the spirituality touches you, you start seeing things with a very different view. You have more compassion, you're more forgiving. You don't see people only for their mistakes. You start seeing life as You start seeing life as a dream, and then you just focus on the good. You actually focus more on the good within you. You start working on yourself, so you become your biggest project, because you want to work on your shadows, you want to work on your flaws. Then you don't start counting flaws in other people.
How do I teach the same amount of compassion, tolerance, acceptance to myself, towards myself? Because a lot of times we shame ourselves, we guilt ourselves, we're hard on ourselves for making one bad decision, for having one cheat meal. You'll never hear the end of it. You know, we're burning it off in gyms next day. We lack that compassion and kindness and that self-love
Yeah.
that needs to exist. So when we talk about just being these wholesome, beautiful, spiritual beings, how do I learn to be kind to first myself, and then also just more accepting of who I am, however I look like, whatever, you know, shape, size, form. Where does that begin?
That begins with a lot of awareness of your own thoughts. So journaling helps. Writing down what you feel, what you think really helps, because then you are very clear of your thoughts. Otherwise, it's all a blur. There are too many thoughts at one time in your head. But when you're journaling it, it's very clear. Your thoughts are clear. The quality of your thoughts are clear on paper. And then, of course, the more aware you get, the more pranayams you practice, the more meditation you do, you become more calmer from within. And when you're more calmer, the awareness becomes stronger. And when you're aware of your thoughts, you catch yourself, you nip it in the bud, where you're like, oh, okay, I'm being harsh on myself now. And it's okay. So what if I had a cheat meal? So always talk to yourself like you would talk to a child or a partner who you love, and they've done a mistake. You won't punish them. You'll always forgive, and you'll be like, you'll support them, and you'll be like, it's okay. Next time you can do better. The same thing we have to do with ourselves. So that's why looking at yourself in the mirror and telling yourself, I love you, or giving yourself a peck on your hand, or just hugging yourself is actually a beautiful thing to do, which most people don't land up doing, because for them, it's like, how can I do that to myself? If you're not doing it to yourself, you're not vibrating at that energy, then you're not going to attract it from outside also, because whatever the world is clearly a reflection of your inner state and your energy and vibration. So self-love actually allows you to attract a lot of love in your life. Not just, I'm not talking about romantic love, but a love from lot of people. And I've seen that, Shreya, you become a magnet for love. Like anyone you meet wants to just be nice to you. Now, this is a practice. Nobody teaches you all this in school, which should be taught in school. How to deal with emotions, how to be more compassionate and forgiving. It's a skill. It's our nature. Actually, it's our
We've
true
had it
nature.
inherently. Children are empathetic. Children
Yeah.
love animals.
Yeah, and that's our soul nature, the spirit nature, the source nature, the divine nature, whatever you call it, is all about love, abundance, joy, compassion, empathy, peace, bliss. This is the nature of our soul.
What gives you energy apart from vegan food? What is your biggest source of energy?
Self-care,
Self-care.
me
What does
time,
that look like to you?
me time. Doing activities that I love. So my pranayam, my meditations. I love dancing, so I join dance classes. I go dance. So that's my another form of meditation, because I love it. Yeah, my work gives me a lot of sanity. Whenever actually, if I'm sort of feeling like I'm going like not feeling too good, I just work, and my work gives me that energy. Reading books, spiritual books, self-help books, I love it.
What advice or tips would you give someone who is I have PCOS, and I know I've been trying to tackle that for a few years. Are there any cool, easy, simple, actionable, plant-based or not tips that you'd give someone who's going through PCOS?
First, start with accepting yourself. Just be okay with what your body is going through, and it's not your mistake. Okay, self-acceptance is very important, which most PCOS women can't, because they have symptoms which take them away from themselves, like all the hair growth and the acne and all of that. And then, of course, start eating clean and actually tame down your exercise.
Tame down, which is against, I think that's the opposite advice that a lot of people give you.
Yeah, a lot of people will tell you strength train, go heavy, it will reverse your insulin resistance.
Not true.
Tame down. In PCOS anyways is a huge stressor for the body. It's completely, the body is working in a completely imbalanced state. Excess exercise only worsens that. So we will get to that later. But first, let's re-establish the balance in the body.
So is that the same advice you'd give to someone who's diagnosed with thyroid or wants to lose weight, diabetes, gut health issues, skin care, hair, any issues with that? Is that the same? Those 3 tips would you give them? Would those apply equally?
I mean, more or less, to start with, yes, accept the issue, accept yourself. It's okay. It is what it is. We are working on it. Okay, so start with a lot of acceptance, eat clean, look into what you're eating, because of course we need to see that, and rework on your exercise. So if you're not exercising, then add the right kind of exercises. But if you're overdoing it in the name of getting results and trying to get to a certain place with your health, then tame it down.
Okay. Is it true that you carry Epsom salts with you whenever you travel?
Yeah,
And
how did you know
explain yourself
that?
to the airport security? Has that ever been a problem?
Epsom salt is a very normal thing. Yeah, it's a salt. I mean, you put it in your bag, nobody ever catches you. Or if I'm like, if I forget to carry, I get it from the chemist or the local stores. See, because you have a bathtub when you travel, which I don't have at home. And I can fill my bathtub with Epsom salt and soak into it and just kind of relax my body. So I get to do that when I'm traveling because at home it's only balti.
That's
and
true. And you have to
you
dip
put
your
your
feet
salt
in
and
that.
all that I can
Yeah.
dip is
Yeah.
my feet. So yeah, that's
Very
why I
cool.
carry Epsom salt.
Okay.
But
Neha,
that's some information which you got from somewhere, because I said it. I think I said it in a story, or very randomly and very briefly I spoke about it. So
we've
I
dug
like your.
deep. We've done
I
our
like
research.
the research.
Any advice to anyone who's trying to be more plant-based, who's kind of maybe afraid, unsure, doesn't know these questions that we get, where do you get your protein from, where are you going to get this from, that from? Is there anything you would like to tell somebody to just subside all their fears when it comes to being vegan or following a plant-based lifestyle?
Just be open to trying new things. Don't have a mental block. And again, don't be too harsh on yourself that you have to do it. And don't have a mental block. Keep it open and tell yourself, okay, I'm trying some things. Let's see how it goes. Like, again, take it as like a game and be curious about it. And be like, okay, let me see what this tastes like. Be open, be receptive to trying new things, because what if you just find a new way of living which you love. And if you don't, have your old ways of living, and that's okay.
Which I have. I mean, I think the only regret that I have is that I didn't go vegan sooner, or that I didn't adopt a plant-based lifestyle sooner. I think that's the only regret that I have about being in this space.
I don't think I have that regret also, because I didn't know any better before that. I used to eat non-veg, and for me that was food. But when the calling happened, I was like, okay, let me just give it up. And
Did your family support you? Did your partner support you?
yeah, my husband was, of course, he's a vegetarian, so he was very shocked initially. He's like, I don't trust you. You're going to do this, because please don't announce it, because you'll go back to eating non-veg, knowing you, because he knew how big a fan I was of my non-vegetarian stuff. And then my in-laws were very happy because they're vegetarians. My father was the most upset because I was his non-vegetarian partner in crime, literally. So, so he was like, are you mad? What is this? You've been eating this from childhood. Why you have to give it up? What nonsense. And then my husband, poor guy, took the blame, because, no, didn't take the blame, but he was blamed. Like, maybe he's made you do it. I'm like, no, it was nobody. It was nobody. You have to do certain things that you have to do.
Yeah, definitely. That's so inspiring. You have these daily affirmations. I want to end with an affirmation. Anything that you hold close to your heart.
It's very simple. I always tell myself that I am loved, guided, and protected by the divine. And only the best and best happens to me and through me.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for being here today, Neha. Thank you so much for your time. And I am so inspired by the lives that you have already changed, and the lives that I know you're going to keep changing. So I hope, we support you in whatever way we can in the journey, on the path that you're on. And keep doing you, keep being you. And we need more people in this space. And you're definitely guiding them forward. So thank you.
Thank you, Shreya. Thank you. It was such an amazing chat. So candid, so soulful, because there are so many things I spoke today which probably were just inside, and I hadn't spoken about it, because don't always get a chance to speak so openly about what you feel about a lot of things. So thank you for giving me the space.
Thank you so much for sharing this space with me, Neha. And good luck to everything that you do.
Thank you, and
going
good luck to
forward.
you, and God bless.
Thank
Thank you.